Hi guys, it's your boy BDR here, and I'm back with another AQ Worlds video. Now today we're going to be doing an overview on Draco Knight. Now, Dragon Knight, which was the Battle Gems, founder class, and then you had, Dracar Knight, which was only available through like, the gifting, system back in December, and now we finally have Draco Knight, which is like the seasonal version that you can get for 2.5 KACs. Now, the only way to get, Draco Knight is that you have to go to shops, you have to go to featured gear, the featured shop, and you'll see it right here for, 2.5 KACs right here. It is available throughout the summer, mainly just like what, July and August. So like probably like somewhere around September it will leave, and it wouldn't come back until like next summer. So we got that out of the way. Now let's talk about, the skills. It has its own auto attack, Spell Blade, 2-second cooldown, physical, short range, one target. Deals physical damage based on your spell power and has additional effects based on what spells have been cast. Then you have your rank 1 skill, Dragon's Fire, 15 mana, 6-second cooldown, magical, medium range, one target. Strike your foe for blade infused with Dragonfire, dealing unavoidable damage and making your foe flammable, reducing their magical resistance by 30% and their DOT resistance by 50% for 15 seconds. During this time, Spellblade will set your foe on fire, burning them over time for 15 seconds. Stacking to 3 replaces Dumbfounded. Then your rank 2 skill, Dragon's Might, 15 mana, 6-second cooldown, magical, medium range, one target. Dealing unavoidable damage and dumbfounding your foe for 15 seconds, reducing their physical damage and crit chance by 25%. During this time, Spellblade has a 20% chance to stun your foe for 2 seconds, replaces flammable. The first time this skill is used in combat, you disarm your foe, reducing their outgoing damage by 80% for 4 seconds. Then you have your rank 3 skill, Swordplay, 20 mana, 13-second cooldown, magical, medium range, one target. Dealing unavoidable damage and applying swordplay, increasing your damage resistance by 40% for 15 seconds. If your foe is dumbfounded, your attack is partially effective, granting you masterful, increasing your outgoing damage and dodge by 10% for 15 seconds, stacking to 3. Then you have your rank 4 skill, Dragonhide, magical resistance increased by 20%. And Ancient Knowledge, intellect increased by 16% and hit chance increased by 20%. And your rank 5 skill, Dragon Breath, 30 mana, 13-second cooldown, medium range, one target. Burning your foe for unavoidable damage. If your foe is flammable, gain a stack of Blazing Siphon and HOT lasting 15 seconds and stacking to 3. And finally, for our rank 10 passive, Dance of Blades, which is, hit, haste, and crit chance increased by 10%. So what we can gather here from this class is that this class just wants to debuff the enemy while also giving them damage over time, which is pretty cool. It's just, it's kind of like, it's reminding me of kind of like, Vera's Doom Knight, in a sense of like, they have like multiple ways of debuffing the opponent's chances and whatnot, stunning them if the boss is stunnable. So yeah, that's what we can gather from the class so far. Alright then, let's move on to combo and enhancements. Alright people, so here's the build for Draco Knight, Ravenous. As you know, the more your opponent's HP decreases, the more damage that you do. Wizard, because this is an offensive caster. Usually with offensive casters, you want to go with Wizard class. Lambda to increase our crit chance, and Hunuma for, more hit chance with Intellect. So we got that out of the way. Alright then. For your combo, what you want to do here is 2, 5, 3, 4, 2, 3, 2, 5, and then repeat the combo. Now with this class, it's just like, it's basically just, debuffing the enemy while also burning them over time. Here we got a good HOT going with the Blazing Siphon. And we're getting like good DLTs, I'm not gonna lie. Well, there goes a 24k right there. Dragon's Fire. Go again. Ravenous. 30k right there. Blazing Siphon again. And we're just like basically melting the opponent. So you see what we're doing, and bam. So within, 57, 58 seconds, this is how much damage it was able to do, the healing, whatnot. So in terms of soloing, you know, this class is a pretty good soloer. It has DLTs, it has the many ways of debuffing. Kind of similar to like Vera's Doom Knight with the amount of debuffs this class can, give out to the opponent. So yeah, in terms of soloing, this class is a pretty good debuffing soloer that could also, DLT. So yeah, a good DLT debuffing soloer. Alright then, let's move on to farming. Alright people, so yeah, in terms of farming, no, this is a single targeting class. Don't do it to yourself. Alright, let's move on to survivability. Alright people, so in terms of survivability, while it does, have the debuffs, it can increase its dodge chance and whatnot. It's just that, in front of like the really hard fights, you know, bosses that hit hard, you do have to like spam that dodge your force skill as soon as possible. Otherwise, you're just going to, get one shot, two shot. Alright then, in terms of survivability, if your fourth skill dodge doesn't proc, you're gonna get one shot, two shot. Alright then, let's move on to support and then final thoughts. Alright people, so in terms of support, Draco Knight can offer, a bunch of debuffs, to the opponent with, its Dragon's Fire, which can reduce the magical resistance and DOT resistance for 15 seconds, damage over time to make the fights, faster. And you have Dragon's Might, Dumbfounding, which can reduce their physical damage and crit chance, and a 20% chance to stun. And if you land Disarm for the first time, you can reduce their outgoing damage by 80% for 4 seconds. So in terms of support, it's offering pretty good debuffs to the party alongside its DLT to, increase, the speed of the fights, parties. Yeah. All right then. The pros about Draco Knight is that it's a good DOT soloer, paired up with Ravenous. When we were able to get some pretty good numbers and, finish the boss under a minute. Usually when you finish a boss under a minute, that's usually where like the top soloers are at. And also, last pro, it's a pretty good debuffer. I mean, being able to, reduce resistances, hit chance, reduce the outgoing damage by a whopping 80%, even if it is 4 seconds, it's still pretty good. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I have for pros. Alright then. The cons about Draco Knight is that, it is 2.5 KACs. That is a bit pricey for, most people. It's not your usual, 2 KACs. And also its defenses are, squishy. What I mean, it's in those situations where you are gonna fight a hard-hitting boss. You gotta like spam your 4 to increase your dodge chance. Otherwise, you're gonna get one shot, two shot. And I'll just say this for the last con. It is competing with other DOT classes like Dragon of Time and Interstellar Knight. Now, both those classes can like offer way bigger DOTs than Draco Knight, especially if like an Arachnomancer is also, close to them. So it is competing with other DOT classes. Alright then, my final verdict about Draco Knight is that Draco Knight is a good, DOT soloer that could offer a bunch of debuffs to the opponent. I recommend getting this class if you have the 2.5 KACs. Because it's not gonna lie. It's pretty fun. Pretty fun right now to use. Alright then, that's pretty much been it for the Draco Knight overview. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. How do you guys feel about Draco Knight? Do you guys enjoy it? Like, what's your favorite combo? Whatnot, enhancements, comment section right there. Road to 400. And yeah, Hi guys, out.